Raul Dragon, Crown Prince of Caleva, stood still as his assistant adjusted the loops of gold braid that hung from the shoulder of his deep green dress uniform jacket. He had been forced by an overlong meeting to dress in a rush and dash here, to the Coliseo de Homer, but he refused to be less than perfectly turned out. He owed that to the recipients of the Medallo de los Lirios, the second highest honor given to Calevan military personnel. Only Raul, as the prince, was allowed to bestow the medal, a ceremonial obligation he took very seriously. Today's honorees had gone above and beyond their duty to his beloved country, and that earned his sincere gratitude. He mentally ran through his short speech and the 3 names that he had memorized to make sure he could congratulate them personally. His assistant stepped back with a nod of approval. Raul smiled his thanks before walking over to meet the officers who would escort him onto the stage, shaking hands and thanking them for their service. He stood at attention off-stage until the ceremony's MC, Capitan General Perez, announced in stentorian tones, Su Alteza Real, Raul, Príncipe de los Lirios, Capitan General de la Milicia de Caleva. When Raul strode onto the stage, a wave of applause thundered through the vaulted assembly hall as the audience rose to their feet. He turned and lifted his hand to acknowledge them before returning the general's salute and sitting in the chair closest to the podium, his escorting officers standing behind him. Perez stepped to the podium and spoke about the history of the Medallo de los Lirios. Raul kept his gaze forward to scan the vast space decorated with military banners and plaques, honoring those who served their country. More importantly, he savored the beaming pride on the faces of those assembled, family, friends, and military colleagues to celebrate the medalists' achievements. Ending his speech, Perez called the prince to the podium. As Raul stood, his vision seemed to waver. He blinked a few times, and the odd sensation passed. Stepping up, he spoke in the voice he'd learned to project to the back of the hall without need of a microphone. He had written the speech himself, as he did every year, because he felt that these soldiers deserved no less from him. When he made way for the general to return to the podium, a wave of dizziness swept over Raul, and he nearly stumbled. He saved himself by briefly gripping the podium's corner to find his balance. He managed to stand on his own as Perez began reading the accomplishments of the first recipient of the Medallo de los Lirios. Focus on the name. He owed the honoree that, but it was hard to do when his stomach lurched and he had to fight down a wave of nausea. What the hell is wrong with me? Do I have the flu? But I never get sick. The general reached the end of the commendation to conclude with Teniente Emiliano Velasco, who has proven himself worthy of this honor. Raul picked up the gold disc from the open velvet box held by the general's aide and stepped forward, managing to slip the medal's teal and red ribbon over the man's head.